So we are beginning a brief, but I believe an impactful six-part study examination of the book of Esther. So I've likened it, the book of Esther, like a Rorschach test. For those of you who are in that field, you know what I'm talking about. You know those ink blots that you look at and you're left to interpret what the ink blot means. And by your interpretation, your view and your interpretation of that ink blot, I suppose the clinician can observe and draw conclusions about you and where you're at and your thinking based on that. I say that because I'm persuaded that a lot of what I have heard, read, seen outside of Scripture, I'm just one man, often misses the mark. That we look at, if we're not careful, we'll look at the book in a very simplistic, I won't even say 30,000-foot view, more of a moon to earth view of the book, and we'll miss issues that are in play of the book that are fundamental to each of us, personally, collectively. And though it's set in, it's placed in the canon in the Old Testament, and it occurs about the 6th century BC, the application to our faith in 2025, dare I say, is pretty spot on. But I'll caution again, my job today is provide an overview. But as I often repeat, context and setting. Context and setting. Let's not bring what we think is a superior 2025 view of things and attempt to overlay that on 6th century BC and wag our fingers and click our tongues. So again, I'm just setting the table for that at least a 5-part meal that's to come. So I invite you to read the book and to reread the book and to reread the book. That ought to be your homework for each week is a reading of the book. Now's the time to kind of inject as we, again, not attempt to overlay too much of 2025 on 6th century BC, but for the most part, we don't know what it means to be enslaved or to have rights deprived of us, for the most part. I'll preface that by pointing out that many throughout the world live lives that are not much different from what we read here in the book of Esther. We have a very isolated view of things, and it really, if we're not careful, instead of just glorifying and thanking God for the blessings that we do have, we'll think that it's because, again, I hit a triple. No, you just got born on third base. That's all. That's all. But do keep in mind that we do live in a country that's just literally 160 years removed from ending a war to end slavery. 160 years. That ain't a long time ago. And we're only about 60 years or so from the passage of legislation that provided equal protection under the law including the right to vote for everyone. So why am I saying all of this? I'm trying to give us a window to look through the book of Esther. Survival, freedom, persecution. Those are words that have only theoretical meaning and little relevance until they're gone. Then it becomes real. Survival, freedom, persecution. On the other hand, identity, who you are at your innermost core is being confronted and conformed all of the time, 24/7. Who you are, not the you dressed up, looking nice, pretty, perfumed, and coming here. I'm talking about who you are. And I'm not even saying standing in the front of a mirror that naked, that's a bad visual, but who you are. I would dare say that there are aspects of all of us, even with those, and encourage it if it blesses you, even if you see a therapist, there are some things kind of like we do with recipes, you hold back just a little bit. Just a little, I'll tell you 99.9%, and I hope you get what I need from this, but I ain't gonna tell you everything. I won't repeat the story about Sister Meeks and I, but she asked a question, I gave an answer, and I was waiting for her response. And she said, well, you didn't ask the question, so I'm not giving you an answer. It's on a need-to-know basis. Okay. But consciously and subconsciously, intentionally or unintentionally, without exaggeration, I'm not exaggerating. It's not hyperbolic. What you view, what you post, what you spend your time on, your financial decisions, shout out to Debbie and Jeff, it's the little foxes of life. It's the little foxes. It's the little foxes of life that are shaping you right now. Right now, those decisions, those situations, those spaces. I shared before, I share now. Again, the gentleman, Mike Guzman, New Folsom State Prison, stood up, declared during testimony service when I was ministering there, I thank God for my life sentence in Jesus Christ. Man, I wish I could say I would say that. I don't know what I would say, but you said it. Well, he only said it because he got a life sentence. He ain't got no other choice. Maybe. You got a choice. What you saying? What's your confession of faith? He declared a freedom that was more real than folks, many, if not most folks, walking around outside of New Folsom State Prison. Everybody that's not in prison is free. And a lot of people that are free are in prison. Let me reread the selected text, beginning at the 5th verse of the 2nd chapter. Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Among those taken captive was Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This young woman, who was also known as Esther, had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many young women were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Hegai. Esther, who was taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Hegai, who had charge of the harem. She pleased him and won his favor. Immediately he provided her with her beauty treatments and special food. He assigned her to 7 female attendants, selected from the king's palace, and moved her attendants into the best place in the harem. Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Verse 16, she was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality, just as Mordecai had told her to do. For she continued to follow Mordecai's instruction as she had done when he was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's officers who had guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the 2 officials were impaled on poles. And all this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king. This is just the overview of the 5-course meal, if you will, that's coming. Reading commentaries and listening to different theologians, my kind of like a rubber band, I always tend to snap back to Tim Keller. And one thing, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not a direct quote, but he said concerning this situation, and asked a series of questions that I'm asking you now. The Jews are a minority living in a society where the dominant spiritual and moral values are antithetical to everything that they say and stand for. I think we can relate to that. So his questions are, what do you do? What do you do? Not theoretically, what do you do? What do you do? How do you live? That's not a theoretical question. That's a question that could be asked and answered right now. How do you live? Do you withdraw? Do you assimilate and try and fit in? Do you protest everything? What do you do? That's what Keller posited. I might say, or put it a different way, kind of what I suggested earlier. 1, what are you doing right now? And 2, question, is there a need for change? What are you doing right now? And is there a need for change? Again, as I said, Esther is like a Rorschach test. What do you see? And why do you see what you say you see? I believe I said it even last week regarding the conclusion of the Acts of the Apostle. There's no such thing as luck, okay? There's no such thing as luck, especially with believers. God's name is not mentioned explicitly in the book of Esther, yet he dominates the whole book. There'll be references to the Jews and their adherence to their law. Well, who gave the law? I mean, there's obvious implications, but there's no explicit expression of God's name. You know me, I listen to PBS, NPR, and it's not a political statement, it's just a fact. That's what I do. And I also listen to Sirius XM, the Jazz Channel, real jazz. And I think it's about on the way home on Sundays that you can hear Christian McBride. Just shout out there. And for those who you know. and he's a bass player. And one of the things that struck me, this is where life and faith and everything just knits together. He says the bass and sometimes the drums, or not sometimes, that's what I said. He said the bass and the drums, but he's a bass player, sets the tone for the what, the who, and to whom the music is being played. Can I get an amen? Okay. It's the bass player. Well, he's not the lead. It's not the vocal. But you just hear, thump, thump, thump. Sets the tempo. Sets the mood. It's the bass player. It's that thing in the background that is guiding all of the things, God, that you think are obvious, it's like, no, the reason you do what you do is, it's like, and you've seen that in people that have obvious challenges mentally. They hear something that can't be heard. They're moving to something that you can't hear. How I wish that would be the case for me. All the time, 24/7. So I'm herky-jerky going down the street? No. I'm moving and I'm acting in accordance with a tune you can't hear. Well, why aren't we doing this? Because the beat is this. That's the beat. But I hear, who are we listening to? Everything preceding, in, and after the book of Esther is orchestrated by God. It's all God, even if his name is not mentioned. The rebellion of the nation. I know, I can go all the way back to the Garden of Eden. The rebellion of the nation. Captivity in Babylon. Rule by the Persians. The refusal of Queen Vashti to obey the king's command to be out in display, as Tim Keller even put it, before thousands of drunken men. Hadassah being orphaned. Her adoption by Mordecai. His telling her not to say anything about her being Jewish. Her selection as queen. Mordecai being just at the right place and time to hear of an attempt to kill the king. Mordecai's message to Esther regarding Haman's plan to kill the Jews. And Esther's response. See, the world would say, man, isn't that a series of coincidences? Boy, Esther is some kind of lucky duck, isn't she? Man, she should just go play the lottery. You're going to win. It's like you're just lucky. No, we don't say that, but we behave that way. Lord, give me a sign. Okay, if the next 3 lights are green, you laugh. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do. The things we often attribute to luck or hard work is God doing what God does. There are people working hard every day in third world countries. At some point, we have to recognize, we have to look through just a reasonable lens and understand, well, maybe it's just not my hard work that's moving me where I'm actually finding myself to be. Luck. Hard work. See, sometimes God sends a I like to liken it to like a gentle breeze that maybe we're on the right path. Maybe. You're better than I am. You probably are. Maybe. And he just sends a gentle breeze and poof, just keeps you going down that right path. And then sometimes, like in The Wizard of Oz, he sends a tornado. Like, oh no, no. No, you won't be in Kansas anymore. I have to send a tornado to really uproot all that's going on. Otherwise, you would be just merrily going down this path thinking that I must be doing God's will. Let me send a tornado to you. Hadassah, Esther. Let's just be very clear. The text makes clear. This is not my assertion. There are no pictures of her. I'd never met her. She was a very physically beautiful woman. So if I can turn a phrase that I've used before, in the baseball game, she didn't hit a triple. She was graced with physical beauty at birth. She was just born pretty. The text doesn't say, nor does it imply, that she grew up with narcissistic tendencies, which a lot of people are prone to do, like peanut butter and jelly. Sometimes you can have a certain thing and it's like, yeah, that's why God hasn't given me hair. You laugh, I'm serious. I am serious. If I had hair, I'd grow it in locks and I'd be flicking it every 5 seconds. Now, don't anybody take a picture and do an AI of me and say, Pastor Meeks and locks. See, I could see Josh doing that too. It's just like, don't, Deacon Molly, I won't rein them in. Don't let them. The text doesn't say that she was conceited. She was just born that way. She was simply Hadassah, Esther, a beautiful woman. But her beauty didn't spare her from this thing we call life. She was an orphan, a beautiful orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai. Later, as he pointed out to her, as Sister Meeks would say, trust and believe. Position, along with your beauty, wouldn't spare you either. 4:13 reads this, do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arrive from another pretty face. No, it didn't say that, from another place. But you and your father's family will perish. And who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai, go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my attendants will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. I'm closing. Told you this is just a setup. I think I have just 4 bullet points and just going to read them. Let me just say this. 1, God is great on getting us back on course. I don't know where you are in your life. I won't pull back the curtain on yours. You don't pull back or ask about the curtain on mine. But God is great on getting you back on course. And as I shared earlier, sometimes it takes the tornado in Kansas to get you where you need to be. But don't assume that just because things are calm, things must be going well. Don't assume that. 2, we are afforded incredible opportunities every day to exalt him and to advance the kingdom. Every day, every minute of every day, we are afforded incredible opportunities to exalt him and advance the kingdom. It's not theoretical, it's lived out. It's what are you doing right now? What are you doing? When you go out and have dinner, if you go out and you dine at a facility, at a restaurant or where, how do you interact with the people that will provide service to you? How do you interact with the person that you're squeezed up against in the airplane? Yeah, I just got back. I was in the middle seat. Lord, no. I'm not here. I'm asleep. How do you interact? How do you interact in those spaces? 3, we don't know the end. We don't know the end. We know the ultimate end. We will be with him forever, and we will worship him forever. We'll be at peace forever. We know that end, but we don't know this end. The ultimate where, what, and how, that's God determines that. But these micro choices come up every day. Every day. Who and how we communicate. It's only in the rearview mirror then we can see, oh, if I had said yes instead of no, or if I had said no instead of yes, had I not applied for this position, then I wouldn't have met this person who needed an intervention in this situation. I don't want to extend the example too far, but as Deacon Tracy had shared earlier about Aaron and his, we call it, unfortunate. It's unfortunate for me. It'd be unfortunate for him situation to have the accident, to have surgery, to be transported to Vallejo, to now be in a position where she shared he's witnessing to everyone who comes into his room. What a lucky coincidence that is, isn't it? Coincidence. Oh, just man. Just a coincidence, man. Like it's just always be ready, you know? Last point. Our task, our job, our responsibility is to have a listening ear and a sensitive heart. A listening ear and a sensitive heart to yield to what God has for us to do. We won't know what God has for us to do unless we ask God, what is it you have for us to do? And to listen for the response. Again, I've shared before, I share now. I have to, you're better than I am. I have to really challenge myself because the noise that's real and the noise that's internal, both are real, that are external and internal, can often drown out my feeble attempt to access God. I'm busy giving him my list of things that I'd like him to address. Got a long list. I do. I mean, if God's asking, it's like, but he already knows. Scripture lets us know. He already knows. But again, we have not because we don't ask. But he already knows. It's like it's that spiritual position that he wants us in. I know your list. Again, some of you are new. You can hear the story, and I'm through. I promise. My brother, who's he's also a pastor, but he's also a metal artist. Again, I wanted a piece of art from him that I could gift to someone else. I couldn't afford it, and his response to me was, "Well, I can't give it to you on the cheap. That would diminish the value of the art. So you're going to have to come over and earn it." I'm a grown man. Well, come over and sweep my shop. I had a choice. I was offered a choice. I was given a choice. I can either pay, which I couldn't afford, or I could do what he asked me to do, which is in the long run would have been cheaper. Then just give him a few hours of me moving a broom and all of that stuff. And so I was sure enough mad. I was Jonah mad. I was that mad. But I was smart enough, just like, if this is the objective, this is what you better do. So I did it. So I go over, start sweeping his shop, just making small talk, and I'm fuming. About 10, 15 minutes into that, he said, "Boy, put down the broom." I was like, a deal's a deal. It's like, he goes, "I don't need you to sweep my shop. I just wanted an excuse to get you over for you to spend time with me." I can sweep my own shop. I could speak things into existence. I don't need I just want you to be in relationship with me. That's all. What does it take? What does it take? What does it take? Boy, if I don't sing, I got angels that are going to be on point more than we will. I got messengers, angels that can deliver messages better than I can. What does it take for us to be in that space of relationship with God so that we don't look at our achievement as something that God needs? What do I need? What is he asked through the prophet? Are my arms too short? What? What? When we recognize that we have been given incredible privilege, when we've been given incredible privilege, and we then respond in a humble way, it's like, God, you could have picked anybody. Anybody. But in your divine providence, your divine wisdom, you picked me. He picked you. He picked you. Oh, because I'm somebody. We're last week's news. And we're the apple of his eye. Square that circle. That we are nothing and we're everything to him. That's why, and again, I promise I'm through. That's why the psalmist said, "Who is man? Who is man that God would attend to us the way he does?" And that's why Mordecai, we will find out, we will discover together, had to remind Esther, "Girl, you cute and all. She ain't that cute. You smart and all, but you ain't that smart. You got gifts, but your gifts ain't all that. Stop praising him. Just I dare you to stop, and I don't dare you, but if you stop praising him collectively, you see a chorus of rocks shouting out, just saying, to God be the glory for all of the wonderful things he has done." That's it. Let's stand. Let's go home.